Representative Eric Redman with you with another one of my kitchen table talks, except this is up by my deck in my home. Well, my talk today is, but why should my Idaho constituents re-elect me for a second term in the Idaho House of Representatives? And what do I stand for? Friends and neighbors, I am a true conservative. No, I'm not a libertarian, as is my opponent. I'm a Republican who happens to focus on biblical Christian principles and the creation of more Idaho jobs. You know, I'd like to repeat a couple remarks from our Constitution founders. John Adams said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." And Benjamin Franklin said, "Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom." You know, I'm not anti-government, but I work towards a limited government that focuses on what our state government is responsible to do. I'm a Christian and I study God's Word. My faith convinces me that the prophecies in the Bible are true. I believe in the sanctity of human life, including preborn babies. I am not for abortion. I want to preserve marriage, traditional marriage, one man and one woman. I am a Vietnam War veteran, and I own firearms. And I fervently support the sovereignty of the United States and, as in our 10th Amendment, the sovereignty of our state. Last year, again because of my experience over 25 years working with health care funding through my insurance agency, I worked with the University of Idaho and presented a bill to the full House to reduce a huge guaranteed security deposit from $90 million to $25 million. This huge increase was a result of a misguided bill 2 years earlier. This guaranteed fund is required for the reinsurance of the aggregate stop loss on their self-insured health insurance plan. The Senate and House did pass this bill for a savings of $70 million to the university. I was a co-sponsor of a pro-life bill, and I am endorsed by Idaho Chooses Life. As with all the Republican legislators in North Idaho, I voted for the permitless concealed carry bill. My opponent is Alan Littlejohn, a neighbor and a retired fireman. We've had dinner together. He's been on my boat. A fireman, certainly a commendable career. And he's been able to retire with a $68,000 pension from California. But you know, he's been handing out flyers that show what the Idaho Freedom Foundation's rating of Idaho legislators was. The Freedom Foundation is a strict libertarian organization and therefore rated my voting record as a job creator as a D. What is interesting is 2/3 of the 105 legislators in the state House and Senate had a lower score than I do. Let me give you two examples of bills that received a negative point rating from the Idaho Freedom Foundation that caused part of my lower ratings. Senate Bill 1318, related to appraisal management companies, commonly known as AMCs. The legislation creates an oversight system for AMCs that do business in Idaho. In most residential real estate transactions, the lender must have an independent appraisal of the property to ensure an accurate, objective valuation. And AMC is often the entity that provides this independence, contracting with an appraiser, and they contract with local appraisers to perform the appraisal. They just oversee it and give it oversight. Without this legislation in place by December of 2018, Lenders in federally related residential real estate transactions, such as the Veterans Administration, the VA loans, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and others, will not be able to use most American appraisal management companies. This could result in a disruption and delays to consumers, realtors, appraisers, builders, and lenders in residential real estate loan transactions. There's no impact to the general fund or local government. The Board of Real Estate Appraisers operates solely on dedicated funds received from fees paid by appraisers regulated by the board. Now, with this bill passing, which it did pass, it was going to cost the Bureau of Occupation Licensing for setting up and overseeing it approximately another $45,000-$20,000 estimated costs. The fees are collected, however, from the American management companies registered under the law, and they'll cover those costs. Therefore, there's no general fund money would be appropriated to cover these costs. There would be no cost to local government. The Bankers Association, the Board of Realtors, the appraisers, the AMCs that were willing to pay this fee wanted this bill. And I expect the home builders would have wanted it also. It provides that home buyers would still be able to receive those funds, and bankers would not have extra expense to provide them. There was a federal requirement that there was that increase in occupation licensing, which I say would be taken care of by the appraisal management companies. The foundation actually gave this bill a -4 points, whereas they usually do 1 or 2 points. Another bill was Senate Bill 1311. This legislation eliminated the additional fee of $75 imposed on hybrid vehicles and neighborhood electric vehicles when registering those vehicles in Idaho. While there's no impact to the general fund, elimination of this fee resulted in a net loss of approximately $1 million to the highway distribution account. Under the current distribution, this would result in approximately $600,000 loss to the Idaho Transportation Department and $400,000 loss to the local highway districts, cities, and counties, areas that we all live in. I voted against this bill, not just because hybrids like the Prius driving on the same roads get 54 miles per gallon versus the average vehicle getting 14 to 24 miles per gallon. Our Idaho Constitution, Article 7, Section 17, since 1941, states gasoline taxes and vehicle registration pays for construction, repair, maintenance, and traffic supervision of state highways. In other words, the Idaho State Patrol. The passage of this bill caused another reduction in the Idaho State Patrol budget, state police budget. In northern Idaho, in Kootenai County, over the last 6 years, we have had a drop from 4 cars plus a sergeant per shift and 3 cars in surrounding counties to 2 cars patrolling Kootenai County. 8 troopers in the last 18 months have left North Idaho State Patrol Police for similar higher paying jobs in eastern Washington. In the small communities of Idaho, when there's a murder or similar serious crime, the ISP is called in. You know, our population has increased, but our ISP has decreased, and this will cause even less money for them. The National American Conservative Union, also known as CPAC, based on their rating of 12 Idaho state legislative bills, has rated me in the top 20 best scorers in the Idaho House. Farm Bureau, certainly one of the most conservative organizations in Idaho, representing 74,000 Idaho families, gave me the only endorsement of the legislators in District 2 as the friend of agriculture. The Idaho Food Producers gave me the All-Star rating endorsement, of which again, I was the only representative receiving that endorsement in District 2. I grew up on a farm, so I understand the importance of the jobs created through the agricultural industry, especially in Idaho with cattle, potatoes, and other grain and food products. Because I vote to create more jobs with knowledge and experience due to my 44 years of owning my own business here in North Idaho, grew up 65 miles south of North Idaho on a farm. I have also been endorsed by the Bankers Association, Blue Cross, Regents Blue Shield, Pacific Source, the Board of Realtors, Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry, the Idaho Association of Health Underwriters, the Association of General Contractors, the Idaho Building Contractors, the Beer and Wine Distributors, 1-800-CONTACTS, the Optometrists Association, Pacific Forest Corporation, Simplot, and many in the Idaho House Legislature.